Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're really digging into something central to, well, everything we do, habits.
Mm-hmm.
Why do those bad ones seem cemented in place while, the good ones often just fizzle out?
It's a classic struggle, isn't it?
Totally.
Mm-hmm.
And more importantly, we're exploring how you can actually get control, how to break those patterns you don't want, and build habits that really work for you.
Yeah, we've got some great material here looking at the science behind it all, the psychology.
Right. And our mission today is to cut through the jargon, pull out the most practical stuff you can use right away, going beyond just try harder with willpower to actually understanding how habits work.
It's fascinating, that feeling you mentioned, how bad habits just seem to take root so easily, like weeds.
Exactly. While the good ones are like these delicate flowers needing constant attention.
And that's not just perception. There's a solid reason for it, baked into how our brains operate. We're fundamentally wired for, efficiency.
Efficiency meaning.
Meaning conserving energy, seeking comfort, and critically, going for those immediate rewards, the quick payoff.
Okay, let's unpack that. So this is the instant versus delayed gratification thing.
Pretty much, you get that fast dopamine hit from, say, checking your phone or grabbing a sugary snack. Feels good now.
Right. But the good stuff, like exercise or, learning a language consistently, the rewards take time. Sometimes you don't even see them at first.
And that delay can be incredibly discouraging. Our brains just aren't naturally geared for that long game as much. They love immediate feedback.
So bad habits give that instant hit, reinforcing the loop. Good habits.
Mm-hmm.
They demand effort up front without that instant yes signal.
Precisely. Which really highlights why just muscling through with willpower often fails in the long run. It's exhausting.
Right. It's not about gritting your teeth harder. It seems the key is understanding the actual mechanics, the how of habits.
And then using that knowledge strategically. It's about understanding the psychology, designing better systems for yourself, not just pure mental force.
Okay. So in this deep dive, we'll map that out. We'll look at the science, the habit loop everyone talks about, how much our environment shapes us, even our sense of self.
And critically, we'll get into tangible strategies, how to make changes stick, and importantly, how to bounce back when you slip up. Because you will slip up.
Yeah, nobody's perfect. This isn't about some impossible ideal, right? It's about consistent, steady progress.
That consistency is everything. Often we get this big burst of motivation. Right, Monday, I'm changing everything.
Oh, yeah, I know that feeling. New Year's resolutions.
Exactly. But motivation, as the research points out, and I think we all know this intuitively, it's fickle. It comes and goes.
So habits are the reliable engine.
That's a great way to put it. Habits operate mostly under the radar, on autopilot. They're way more powerful than those bursts of inspiration.
Get this. The source says over 40% of what we do daily isn't conscious decisions. It's just habit.
Think about it. Brushing your teeth, how you react when you're stressed, so much is programmed in.
It's kind of mind-blowing when you stop and think about it.
And what's really insightful is how this connects to the power of small, consistent actions. The source calls it the compound effect.
Like compound interest, but for your life.
Exactly. Tiny positive habits, done day in, day out, they build into huge results over time. Like reading just one page a day seems tiny, right?
Yeah, almost insignificant.
But over a year, that's a whole book you've read without really feeling the strain.
Okay, I like that.
Mm.
But the flip side must be true, too. Little bad habits also compound.
Absolutely. Skipping that one workout, maybe not a big deal today, but if it becomes the norm,
it builds a new, unhelpful pattern. Or that quick social media scroll during work adds up.
Exactly. Our habits are constantly working, either for us or, against us, whether we notice or not.
Which brings us back to consistency over intensity.
Yes. Forget the heroic, unsustainable bursts. Real growth comes from the small, daily stuff, like the example of practicing English for just 5 minutes daily.
Adds up to significant practice over a year.
Right. Motivation might be the spark, the thing that gets you started. But habits are the fuel that keeps the engine running. They make it automatic.
Less decision fatigue, less mental drag.
Exactly. Building simple habits, like maybe listening to an English podcast every morning, creates these sustainable rhythms.
So the advice is build systems. Don't just chase goals. Don't wait for motivation. Make the good stuff automatic.
And interestingly, the research suggests our habits actually start to shape who we see ourselves as, our identity.
Wow. Okay. So how do we build these systems? We need to understand the mechanism, right? The habit loop.
Precisely. And the source lays it out clearly. It's that 4-stage cycle. Cue, craving, response, reward.
Okay, let's break that down. Cue.
Yeah.
That's the trigger.
Yep. The thing that kicks it off could be seeing your phone.
Or time of day.
It's emotion. Any of those. It's the signal. Time for the habit.
Got it. Then comes the craving.
And this is key. The craving isn't usually for the action itself, but for the change in state it brings.
So if I crave scrolling social media, it's not the scrolling I want.
Probably not. It's more likely the distraction, the connection, the escape from boredom. Whatever that scrolling gives you, it's the anticipation of the reward.
Ah, okay. That anticipation, that desire for the feeling, that leads to the response.
Which is the actual habit. Picking up the phone, opening an app, doing the thing.
And finally, the reward, the payoff.
The benefit you get. It satisfies the craving, and this is crucial. It tells your brain, hey, that worked. Let's remember this loop. It reinforces the whole sequence.
Cue, craving, response, reward. And the more loops, the stronger the habit, more automatic.
Like carving a path in your brain gets easier and easier to follow, requires less conscious thought.
So the critical insight here is we can't always control the cue, right? Life happens.
True. But we can become aware of the craving when it hits. And most importantly, we can choose a different response.
So that's the intervention point. I feel bored, cue. I want distraction, craving. But instead of grabbing my phone, old response.
You could choose something else, new response, like grabbing a book or doing 5 push-ups.
And a really effective way to do this, the research says, is substituting the response.
Yes. Find a better response that still scratches a similar itch, addresses that underlying craving. So, stress eating. Maybe replace it with a quick walk.
Still aiming for stress relief, just a healthier way.
Exactly. The cue, stress, and the underlying need, relief, are there, but you change the action.
It's like redesigning the system, as the source puts it. Habits aren't random. They're these structured feedback loops.
And if you want to change them, you have to tinker with that structure.
And those triggers for bad habits.
Yeah.
Often quite specific, aren't they? Time, place, feeling, even people.
Definitely. Boredom might trigger social media. Anxiety might trigger reaching for comfort food. They get psychologically wired together.
And the environment. It plays a huge, often invisible role.
Oh, massively. If your phone's right there on the nightstand, what's the first thing you'll likely grab?
Guilty. Or snacks out on the counter. Just makes it too easy.
Your environment is like this silent guide, constantly nudging your behavior.
And stress. That just throws fuel on the fire for bad habits.
Yeah.
Right. We want that quick escape.
Exactly. Under stress, the brain defaults to easy, immediate gratification, stress eating, procrastination, familiar territory for many.
And dopamine's involved here too, but it's more about anticipation than just pleasure.
That's a key clarification. Dopamine drives the seeking of the reward. Bad habits kind of hijack this system. You feel a little buzz even before you do the thing.
Just thinking about it gives a little hit.
And every time you repeat that bad habit, you're digging that neural groove deeper, making it more automatic.
It's also mentioned that many bad habits start as coping mechanisms, right?
Yeah.
Unhealthy ways to deal with stuff.
Yes, very often. Smoking for nerves, procrastination to avoid fear of failure, snacking for anxiety. They serve a purpose, even if it's not a healthy one.
So just stopping the behavior without finding another way to cope. That's tough.
Very tough. Which brings us back to willpower. Relying only on willpower often doesn't work because it ignores that underlying craving, that deep-seated loop.
Like trying to dam a river with your bare hands.
Good analogy. So, changing bad habits has to start with awareness. Just observing, honestly, without judgment.
When does it happen? What triggers it? How do I feel before? What am I trying to get or get away from?
Exactly that. Becoming a detective of your own behavior.
Yeah, and this ties into identity too, how we see ourselves. Like, I'm just not a morning person.
That's a powerful example. Those negative self-stories become self-fulfilling. The brain resists things that contradict that identity.
Bad habits live in our comfort zone. Even if it's not good for us, growth feels uncomfortable.
And willpower, that resource we use to push through discomfort, it runs out quickly, like a muscle getting tired.
Which is why systems and environment design are more reliable.
Design for success. Make good habits easy, obvious. Make bad habits difficult, invisible. Add friction to the bad, remove it from the good.
Like no junk food in the house. Put the book by the bed. Simple stuff.
And recognize that hidden emotional reward in the bad habit, the escape, the comfort. You can't just leave a void. You need to replace it.
Replacement is key. Got it.
And ultimately, the deepest change happens when you shift from trying to change to being changed. When the habits align with who you see yourself becoming.
So the first practical step, just identify the habit, print it out of the shadows into conscious awareness.
Because so many are automatic, we don't even notice them.
And tools like journaling or habit tracking can help here.
Immensely. Just logging when, where, feelings before, the action, feelings after. It reveals the triggers, the rewards.
You start seeing the patterns. Stress equals eating. Boredom equals scrolling.
There's also that idea of a habit scorecard.
Okay.
Listing your daily routines and just marking them. Positive, negative, neutral. Gives you a baseline reality check.
But the goal here is understanding, not self-blame.
Absolutely. It's about self-compassion. Recognizing these habits often started for a reason, maybe as a way to cope back then.
And awareness creates choice. Seeing the loop lets you pause between craving and response.
That pause is where the magic happens. That's where change begins.
Okay, so we're aware. Now what? You mentioned we can't just erase habits.
Right. They're physically stored in the brain. You can't delete the file, so to speak, but you can overwrite it by keeping the cue and the reward similar, but consciously swapping the response.
Ah, the substitution idea again. Cue, boredom, reward sought, stimulation, old response, social media, new response.
Could be reading an interesting article, doing a quick puzzle, listening to a podcast, something beneficial that still delivers that stimulation.
Or nighttime comfort snacking replaced with herbal tea or reading.
Exactly. The key is, don't just leave a vacuum. If you remove a habit without a replacement, relapse is almost guaranteed.
And the replacement should be easy to start with.
Definitely. Make it accessible. A 5-minute stretch is easier to stick with initially than an hour workout. Consistency is what rewires the loop. Start small.
Which loops back nicely to environment design. Make the good replacement easy. Make the old bad habit harder.
Reduce friction for the good, increase friction for the bad.
Lay out workout clothes. Keep the book visible. Healthy snacks front and center.
And log out of social media. Delete the tempting apps. Don't buy the junk food. Make it harder to slip up.
This sounds like James Clear's 4 laws. Make the good habit. Obvious cue. Attractive craving. Easy response. Satisfying reward.
Exactly. And for bad habits, do the inverse. Make it invisible, unattractive, difficult, unsatisfying.
It really comes down to designing your systems. You fall to the level of your systems, not rise to your goals.
Well put. Your habits are the output of your environment and routines. Design them wisely.
Okay, another cool technique mentioned is habit stacking.
Ah, yes. This one's really practical. Linking a new habit you want to build onto an existing solid habit.
Using the old habit as the trigger for the new one.
Precisely. It taps into already established brain pathways. The formula is simple. After I current habit, I will new habit.
So, after I brush my teeth, I will meditate for 1 minute.
Perfect. Brushing teeth is automatic. It becomes the signal, reduces the need to remember or use willpower for the new thing.
And start small and specific with the new habit. After my morning coffee, I will read 1 page of my English book.
Yes, specificity is key. Vague intentions like study more don't work nearly as well. Formalizing it as an if-then statement can also help. If I finish lunch, then I will listen to a 10-minute English podcast.
Makes it concrete.
Yeah.
This leads to something profound. identity-based habits.
This is potentially the most powerful level of change. Shifting focus from what you want to achieve, outcomes, to who you want to become, identity.
So instead of I want to lose weight, it's I am becoming a healthy person.
Exactly. And then you ask, what does a healthy person do? They eat well, they move their body, the habits become evidence, votes for that identity.
And setbacks feel different then. Not I failed, but healthy people sometimes have off days. I'll get back to it tomorrow.
Precisely. It reframes failure. The core question becomes, who do I wish to be? Then align your actions, your habits with that vision.
Like if I want to be someone fluent in English, what habits does that person have? Daily practice, speaking opportunities.
And when habits align with your self-image, they become more natural, less forced. It taps into intrinsic motivation. You're not just doing the habit, you are the kind of person who does that habit.
Aiming to be a consistent learner, not just master English.
Yes. And those tiny habits we talked about, each one reinforces that identity. Every time you do that 5-minute practice, you're casting a vote for being a consistent learner.
And tracking progress helps reinforce this. Journaling, apps.
Absolutely. It provides accountability, self-awareness. Seeing streaks on an app gives that little dopamine hit we talked about.
Checking off the box feels good.
It does. It reinforces the behavior. And consciously celebrating small wins does the same thing. Acknowledge the effort, the progress. It builds confidence, reinforces that growth mindset.
Okay, but let's be real. Setbacks happen. We miss days.
Totally normal. It's part of the process. The key is not letting one slip up derail everything, which leads to the never miss twice rule.
Explain that one.
Simple but powerful. If you miss your habit today, make it a priority to get back on track tomorrow. One missed day is an anomaly. 2 missed days is the start of a new, unwanted habit.
Keeps the momentum from dying completely. Encourages quick recovery.
Exactly. And it helps to plan for setbacks. Know that stressful weeks will come. How can you adapt? Maybe a shorter version of the habit. Adjust the schedule.
And reflect on why you slipped, but with self-compassion, not harsh judgment.
Crucial. Understand the cause, learn from it, move on. Progress isn't linear. There will be ups and downs. Resilience is key.
That story about Sarah really brings this home, doesn't it? Struggling with English consistency.
Yeah, she wanted to improve but couldn't stick with it, so she focused on tiny habits linked to her routine. 5-minute podcast after brushing teeth, 1 new word a day.
Small things, consistently done.
And they compounded. Build her confidence. She used the never miss twice rule. And importantly, she shifted her identity. She started seeing herself as someone who practices English daily.
It really shows how these principles work together. Small habits, consistency, identity shift.
A perfect illustration.
Okay, fantastic. So, wrapping this deep dive up, the key takeaways seem to be habits are way more powerful than motivation. Understand the loop cue, craving, response, reward to change things.
And focus on becoming the person you want to be. Let the habits be evidence of that identity.
So the action challenge for everyone listening this week?
Let's keep it focused. Choose 1 bad habit you want to work on breaking. Just 1.
Okay, 1 to break.
And choose 1 simple, achievable, good habit you want to start building. Keep it small to begin with.
1 in, 1 out, basically. Focus on just those 2 this week.
Exactly. Avoid overwhelm. Write them down. Track your progress journal, app, check marks on a calendar, whatever works for you.
And celebrate the wins. That little dopamine boost helps.
Definitely. And remember, never miss twice. If you slip, forgive yourself instantly and recommit for tomorrow. No big deal.
We'd also love to hear how you get on. Share your progress, your insights, comments, messages. Building a community helps everyone stay motivated.
And try this. Take a moment to visualize yourself living with these changes. Feel the positive impact. Reinforce that identity you're building. Habits really are the compound interest of self-improvement.
Small efforts, big results over time.
You got it.
So start now. Pick your 1 habit to break, 1 to build. Track, celebrate, and always get back on track. You can absolutely do this.